The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen. The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen. The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen. The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen. The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen. The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen. The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen.
To the meme. That's one I've been wanting to make for a long time. Crushed it.
Well, there's a story behind that intro, and I will bring that story to the. It's in my notes to cover this evening. I see this. We got folks in here. Oh, like the chat over there. Steven's here. TJ's here. Gunfighterconcealment.com. What a great username to get your name out there.
I should change mine to net.
Lewis is hanging around. Adam is here. Tonight's live chat brought to you by Combat Art Training. Normally, I tell folks you can get a sponsorship by just sending something over here to the librarium, and that's what it takes. Andrew didn't send anything for that, but Combat Art Training is the fine manufacturers of the Primaris plate carrier. Hey, wait, what? Whoa!
Primaris, is that the name?
I just came up with it about 15 seconds ago.
So I'm really glad I'm doing a prototype first, because I was like, okay, I made the stencil of the primary cut I'm going to use for it, and then I went and cut it from some like green material that I'm not using for anything, and I cut the wrong stencil. So I'm glad I didn't do that with your fucking $500 a yard AOR too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You should
Appreciate it. The question
I did
is,
find it.
Would you have just figured out where to buy some and bought another yard of it and never told me?
Oh, I already have. Yeah. I'm ahead on that.
Or would you have been like, "Hey, bro, you got to pick something different. I hope multicam's okay."
How do you feel about?
I need your torso to be shaped like this now. Yeah, MOS Tactical has it for 172 a yard right now.
Yep. Well, the yard that you have, I got from them, and it was $41 back when I bought it.
God damn.
I've been sitting on it for some time.
How much is M81 a yard? That's what I want to know.
It's not bad. It's like 0.5 a yard.
Yeah.
Actually, the MOS had it for 15 a yard. I was thinking about buying some of theirs just because it's cheaper right now.
Well, if you want to buy shit from them, I have a personalized coupon code that's good till the end of the month for 18% off any order over $200, and I will order it for you if you want to buy $200 worth of material or anything from them.
At MOS?
Yep.
I don't think I'll be able to do it this month, but that's cool though.
Yeah, it was a random email, like just said, "Hey, Gary Marr, you've bought so much shit from us. We'd like to give you a personal discount code. Good till the end of the month." And I was like, I don't need anything, but I certainly don't need $200 worth of shit. I don't make things. I buy shit like AR2 Velcro so that I have it for any future projects. And hence the Velcro that you got was just sitting around waiting for me to have a use for it someday.
He can't even have just regular Velcro. He's got to have the AOR2 Velcro on everything too.
Well, I mean, if we're going to do an AR2 plate carrier, it needs to have AR2 Velcro.
Yeah. This is actually going to be the first time I ever use camo Velcro. I've been using pretty much all black webbing and black Velcro on everything. It's because it's simpler. I kind of like the way it looks too, like black contrast with other stuff, black logo and stuff. You know, I kind of think it's just all part of the branding.
Nothing wrong with that. I like how all the traditional SOE colors is the OD and black combo. Yep. Like it has its own specific look that way.
Yeah, I ended up buying a second clothing bag because I bought one and it was like that weird black, not multicam black, but the other stretchy looking pattern, and then red thread. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And then smaller bag that was OD with black webbing. I was like, fuck, okay, I want that one too. I should be making the damn thing, but I've been catching up on orders. I I've only made a couple things for myself, and haven't actually made a clothing bag, but I needed them.
Well, I have a bunch of cool projects, and I only know a couple of sewers, but you all are so fucking backed up. I try not to keep sending you ideas that.
Yeah, what we need is like a really unsuccessful like sewer,
But
like,
who's good?
but who's good.
Yeah.
You need me right before I started doing YouTube shorts.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, Steven picked the rainbow flag color, black on black on black.
Oh, Max is here. Hello, Max. I'm wearing your shirt. Max's Path.
I was wearing that earlier.
It's cold in my
Turtle.
Good evening, sirs, and Andrew. I like that.
Mr. Turtle Castell. Good dude. Andrew
Saw a
just
couple other folks pop in. Tom Hollybee's here. Chris Dowdrick stopped in the Gators for the first time yesterday. Good people down there.
Oh, Lewis Karras is here.
Crystal is here. Yeah, not too shabby on the folks.
Yeah, we got a good crowd tonight.
Lewis said that Amanda keeps learning that I'm gonna need to learn how to sew. You should, and then you should move into that room over there.
Everybody wants somebody who can sew.
I need to. That's another thing I'm trying to do this year: is hire a full-time sewer, someone who just comes here every single day.
It would probably be. I mean, I don't know the production schedule that you run, but it seems like it'd be real easy to train someone to like cut pieces.
You would think so, but then motherfucker, like if you could see some of the cuts I got over there, like it's one of the most infuriating things.
Now, like running the machine, that looks fucking hard because every time I try to run my wife's sewing machine to like just fix something, it's a disaster. Like at the end of it, if it's all puckered up and there's like 7 strings hanging out, I call that a success and I wear it.
I get it, dude. When you're first learning, that's what it's like. But yeah, it's like just cutting shit along a straight line, tracing it out straight, and then running the scissors straight, and then measuring accurately. I thought that would be a thing that would just be easy that anyone could pick up on, but it actually has been more challenging for people than you would expect.
Well, I was mistaken about how easy it would be to train someone, I guess.
Make these all 15 inches. Okay, but that's not 15 inches, you know. And then you realize, oh, I paid them to throw away material for 2 hours. Great.
Great. John Ammons is in the house. Also said that cutting material people can't seem to do.
Well, that dude is okay. So I got to watch John for like a half day doing sewing stuff and little projects for you while we were down there. And like the level of meticulousness and detail of like things that I never thought would happen. Like, oh, well, the webbing actually shrinks when you turn it and you run some stitches through it. And then it's not as long as it once was. I'm like, oh yeah, that's all the stuff that it would take me years to like, just why do I suck at this? Like, just it's crazy.
Piles of material in the corner.
Yeah.
I thought I figured it out after like 6 months. And then like a year later, I look back at my shit I was doing when I was in it for 6 months. I'm like, and now I'm like, oh man, if I had just done it this way, and I'll watch like John Willis's full build videos. I'm like, damn, if I had these videos available when I first started learning, I would be so far ahead. And it's cool too, because you'll see stuff where you're like, oh, I actually do that, or oh, that's a better way to do that, you know. And it's like sometimes you naturally come to the same conclusion, but it's like those are valuable for me even right now. But it's kind of like, you know, just if you go at it every day, you'll figure out quicker than you expected.
Yeah,
I don't look like a motherfucker that should know how to sew. Neither does John, but you know, John Ammons, right? But it's like, you know, if you work at it, you get it.
you, or maybe probably be easier for Willis because he's got a shop with multiple machines. I would say could probably get people interested in a class on how to sew.
Yeah,
I would take that class.
Really? All right. Yeah, I was actually thinking about trying to do that with John, or maybe here. I've only got I've only got one machine to really do all my work on, but 2 machines that we could use, and I need to get some more. But that would be cool. I wish I could have taken a class on that. Right now, I actually kind of want to hire this dude I was talking to on Instagram to teach a class on how to fucking set up airsoft rifles for hard use for like dry practice training and shit. Because he's like, I don't think people will be interested in that. I'm like, well, dude, think about all the YouTube videos you watched and all the forums you had to read through and all the chats you had to go through, and just take all that and make people pay a couple $100 for a day. Like that would have been worth it to me.
Unlike most of the YouTube videos where they talk about, I can get a higher rate of fire or a higher velocity, I want it to be as reliable as an airsoft gun can be, so that it most closely replicates my real shit. I don't care about, what hop up is in it and what gearbox can get me more rounds per second. I need it to fucking work all the time. And usually when I see videos of dudes like modifying airsoft shit, they're making it less reliable to make it more high performance. I just need it to work a lot because I'm going to
right on the bleeding edge of stripping the gears out.
I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. Like, I want it to just be ultra reliable.
Yeah, and the conclusion I came to is I probably would have been fine. I mean, I haven't even put in the parts that he told me to buy to modify it to run propane with it, but like we shot it, Casey, Gunfire Concealment, he was over. We shot it with just the normal weak gas that the Japanese use, and honestly, it was fucking cool just like that. And for anything we're going to use it for, it's like, doing like force on force type drills within 25 yards, it'd be totally fine.
Yeah, I all my Glock 17s, I got 10 of them. Airsoft part wise, they're all stock. I replaced the base plates on all the magazines with some whoever makes the Vickers base plate. So is it Tango Down maybe? Because every time we dropped the mag out of a gun and it would hit anything not like soft, it would either break the feed lips or the base plate, and the base plate was an easy fix because it would take a real block one. And then I put excess sights on all the slides and was like, all right, I don't know fuck all more about it, and I fill it all with propane, and that's how I run them, and they work great for the class that we use them in.
Nice. Yeah, I actually took one and I bought a $30 dovetail red dot mount, and I put a red dot on it, and I just epoxied it to keep it in there tight, and it's actually been running fine. So
yeah, as long as it's not too heavy, it should work all right. And because it's not getting the same like cycle speeds that a real slide's getting, where you have to worry about, it's got to have the 4 lugs and 2 bolts to this torque spec. Like the thing moves slow enough I can stop it with my finger.
Yeah.
Lewis said that he'd have to work naked so that he's not stealing any material. However, you can still steal stuff when you're naked. So there might be a lot of like,
action.
Touch your toes and cough before you go out to your car at break. I scrolled back up, see what we missed on that.
I wouldn't want that webbing back.
Oh, Shindo is in the chat. If you want to put your link in, now would be the time for the pocket carriers.
Yep. I'm gonna have to ask someone to go.
Will it not let you put it in?
Not on the Restream app. So I'm just pulling it up on YouTube right now. Hopefully it's still copied in my thing. And whoosh. Yeah, I got one Tiger pocket mag carrier for him. So just over Tiger stripe, and we can ship that with the next batch that we ship.
Perfect. so he's got that all squared away.
Oh, I don't even think I've ever seen one of these before. The double pocket mag carrier. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I use all the time.
Nice.
I hadn't seen it. Sonny has one, and Shinde saw it at Sonny's and texted me and said, I can't find this on his website. Do you know him? Can I get one? And I text Andrew, and he's like, yeah, sure, whatever, no problem. And I'm he said, no problem. And then Andrew's phone died, and I couldn't get in touch with him. And today I find out, they've always been on the website.
This is the one I've been using. And they just keeps 2 mags straight and aligned in your pocket. Like after I'm caught up with orders and I do the first couple new items that I'm going to drop, then I'm going to make another version of this where it's 3 mags, and then I'll make one where it's 5 inches to fit in smaller pockets. So that's something I've had requested before. But
who fit 3 of those in a pocket?
Mm-hmm. Bro, when I'm doing classes, I've got like 4 mags in my front pocket.
No, I've got them but I mean, I just can't imagine the width of the actual pocket dimensions would fit 3 aligned. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, they will. Because this all the time in my pocket, it'll get scrunched over to the side, and then another mag will be sitting right there. Like when I'm out the range. The other thing I'm gonna make
need a hefty
in the future is because I've always got my pocket stuffed in class, I want to make a thing where it's like, you put your notebook in here, your pen, your marker, it's got some staples, a tourniquet on that bitch, and then like a little dump pouch just to throw extra shit on so that, you can take classes in your EDC and you don't have to have a overstuffed pockets or a bag next to you, just like a little training caddy type thing.
A pocket protector?
A pocket emptier, put it in the the thing that you strap to your belt. I don't know. I would just call it first the idea was to call it an instructor caddy, but
it could be
training caddy, I think will be the good name. Yes, Andrew,
I like it.
High physics.
Especially because you wear those tight pants too.
Oh, dude, that looks so good.
I'm glad you brought up the tight pants. I wasn't going to.
Well, somebody had to.
At the Connect consulting class I just took, I don't know if you ever posted it, but John Dufresne took his camera out and just videotaped at my pockets. Like, why do you have so much stuff in there?
See, TJ's on the same page. He said that's a pocket protector. Nerd.
But it doesn't go in your pocket.
Still. Call it the nerd pouch. I like it. TJ coined it.
The nerd pouch. Does he get a free one for coming up with a good name?
No, I hate that name now. Just kidding. TJ's awesome. He has really good music taste. I was thinking about TJ probably would have laughed at. I was thinking about posting on Facebook the other day, like, man, I was listening to music today and I realized I just have so much better music taste than everyone else.
So I would tell you that when TJ did my intro music for my YouTube channel, I paid him a paltry sum of a free t-shirt for him to write and record the music. And I think he told me at the time it was the most he'd ever been paid for making music. So what I'm getting at is if you're looking for an update in music, he might still come pretty cheap.
On it, we kind of hadn't talked in a while, but he had wrote something pretty badass. I don't think he wanted me to use that recording because he said it was like a rough draft or something. But it was pretty fucking heavy. It was really good.
Yeah, he's pretty okay.
Yeah, he did the Bulletin intro music too. And because he knows my music taste. He's like, you want something like Kill Switch Engagey? Yeah. And he makes like a 10-second heavy riff type of thing, and I'm like, it's perfect. I don't need anything. This is the most amazing thing ever. He requires very little direction.
Yeah. I had an idea for what I wanted it to sound like, and I typed it in a chat. And we weren't even like talking. And I was like, like this tempo, and it sounds kind of like blah, and I had to type out the word like blah. And like 20 minutes later goes, you mean like this? And I was like, holy shit, he's amazing.
Yeah.
He read what noise was in my head through my shitty typing.
Yeah, I sent him some videos of me playing some of the riffs that I really like that I came up with, and then he's just taken on his own after that.
So, have you ever met TJ in person?
No,
that's awesome. I love the fact that there is like a chain of people that is between TJ and you, Andrew, and like we're making all of that connect.
Yeah, you connect to the circle on that because I listened to the podcast you did with them.
Oh yeah, that's probably one of my favorite podcasts that I've done, is because TJ's awesome.
Yeah. And listening to him talk about going and playing airsoft as good way to practice was one of the things I was like, man, I really want a fucking airsoft rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Mike and TJ and I are all going to go shoot a USPSA match next month.
Nice.
Yep.
I have a night vision workshop on the 8th of June. And so we're not starting like 6:00 that night. So that morning at the club where they host the muster, they're having a USPSA match, like their 4th one they've ever had. And we're like, well, hey, if you guys are coming to the workshop, why don't you just get here early enough and we'll all go hit the USPSA match? And that seems to be the plan. And we'll be totally not gamed out because we don't have any brightly colored shooting jerseys and
whatever else we're supposed to have. For turning around with a gun in my hands.
Yeah, who knows what we'll do.
Just when you first walk in case you do any of the normal shit you do and almost get kicked out, just show them you're real safe by yelling shit like downrange and like Jay and I were doing. Downrange, stapling targets.
Oh man!
Right on the right.
Loading.
Reloading.
Extracting.
We had because we yelled someone we pulled in. I don't remember what the hell we were yelling. They were ridiculous, like frag out and
jumper in the door.
No fear. I've always wanted to do it, but I don't want to be that much of a jackass. But it'd be really fun. And if if I ever just want to watch the world burn, I'll do it. But I was thinking, how great would it be to like go to indoor ranges or like absolute FUD ranges and just do the absolute normal shit I always do, just shoot at that same speed, draw my gun, move, switch hands, fucking turn around with a gun in my hand and just watch people's fucking minds melt.
I would love to do secret undercover video of that.
Yeah. And just shoot extremely competently.
Yeah. And see them lose their fucking minds. The red hat literally rising off of the top of their head from steam.
Yeah. The scrambled eggs on the brim will burn.
Yeah. I mean, if you only got access to an indoor range, our video wanted to do for a long time, you can make it work. You can't draw from the holster, but you can push the gun from here to here, which is a part of your draw stroke anyways. And, you can't reload like this, but you could bring it in so that, it's like this and do your reload as if the dude was real close to you or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
You can make it work, but it's also where it's like, man, I hate going to a range and being told by a dude wearing an XC and a circle holster that's not safe for me to draw my gun, Well,
given that dude's experiences, he's like, well, it ain't safe to ever draw a gun.
Yeah, the things I can't stand are like the extra bullshit rules that they always add on it could be indoor or outdoor. It doesn't matter. The FUD culture here in Pennsylvania is strong. And
right.
Even the outdoor clubs out here, I would dare to say that in Florida, you guys probably have it a bit better because for some reason up here, it's like every single outdoor place that has like memberships involved is like, except for a rare few, it's like NRA Central, like it's Old Boys Club. Like they don't even hunt. I don't understand why these clubs exist. Like they don't shoot it. Like they exist for them to yell at other people.
Right.
Like, and like to come up with rules on the spot that they can make other people follow at any one time. Like, oh, well, the rules say shooting ends at dusk. And then I went and shot at dusk one day, and like 2 minutes after sundown, which is not dusk, by the way, they like I had a dude like peeling through the parking lot in his like in his old like pickup truck, like come to a tactical stop on my bay, like does a hood jump out of it. No, he comes out, he's like, "What are you doing? How could you?" And like it's just totally like berating me. I'm like, bro, the sign says dusk. Dusk is in 25 minutes from now, according to science. And he goes, "No, it's sundown, blah, blah, as soon as that sun passes over that crest." And I'm like, all right, man.
And use that word. Say
yeah,
that.
I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't see the part in the bylaws where it said, like, as the sun approaches the apex of Misty Mountain Crest. Like, that's, I missed that part.
Yeah. Yep. It's one of those things. It's just like tact. That could have solved everything right there, or just writing it correctly.
Yeah.
It's like
just
it's like when I used to RSO at Aerie. It's like you have to correct a bunch of shit, and really I was pretty chill about the way the range was conducted. I was like, hey, follow the 4 rules. Don't shoot crazy shit that breaks your stuff and lights the range on fire. Please only shoot your target. Be cool to everyone. Stuff like that. But then you got to correct stuff. But if you just go up and yell at them, what do you think the response is going to be like? Now they're afraid to make more mistakes. First off, they're going to make more because of that. And especially if they're like, you're about to say something that's going to embarrass them in front of their wife or kid. I'd always just take them aside and be like, hey man, I keep seeing you point the gun at your hand with your finger on the trigger. If you do that, you're gonna end up shooting yourself. So just like think about it like this: if I put the gun up here, so like that was always a more effective way to deal with it. Of course, there are fucking assholes sometimes. There's only like 2 times I actually yelled at someone, but it was because they're like one dude owned the fact that he had his finger on the trigger. He literally went, hey sir, when you're not shooting, I need you to take your finger off the trigger. And he's those, it was off the trigger. And I'm like, yeah, no, it fucking wasn't. And I was like, that irritated me so much. Like, dude, it's okay. You can make mistakes. Like, we're all going to make mistakes, but like at least own it. That's just integrity.
I love seeing that moment when all of a sudden somebody's ego completely usurps all function from their body.
Yeah.
Like, no, it wasn't.
It was off the trigger.
Bro.
Like you, as it clicked in your brain, you did this.
You're like, bro, you drove in here with your finger on the trigger.
There's a hole in your seat. Like,
yeah. And then it also, like with stuff like that, the integrity, the ego, like there's also times where it's like people will try to correct you just to have a one up on you, and it's bullshit. They're like, you're flagging him. Like, no, I'm fucking not. My gun's pointed at the ground right here. Like, I'm very fucking aware of this, But anyways.
Yeah. Javier says he has a FUD range where they have bays where you can do non-FUD things. I got news for you, Javier. That means it's not a FUD range. Like, we have ranges up here that, like, it doesn't matter where you are, where you can't have more than 3 rounds in your firearm at any one time. Or
holy fuck.
Yeah. My local range will not allow me to have more than 3 rounds in the gun at any one time, unless it's a pistol. Like, if it's a rifle, you can only have 3 rounds in the rifle at any one time, or you'll get thrown out.
And There's ranges in Florida where you have to bump fire and not hit the target to become a member.
That's why I love Florida.
I don't know. We're Ashley and I have been talking about eventually moving a little bit further north,
Like Pennsylvania,
not past that Mason-Dixon line, of
Oh.
course, but just a little bit further. Because dude,
Well,
land is.
I'll have you know, the Mason-Dixon line is the southern border of Pennsylvania. So if you moved to say West Virginia, you would still be really close to us, in a manner of speaking, and you could stay below your arbitrary Mason-Dixon line.
Well, like just a little bit further north, still stay in the south, you know. But like, it's just land out here so expensive. Trying to buy a house is extremely expensive. You know, for what we could buy a pretty cool house in Tennessee, you know, you get like a double wide trailer with no land here in Florida. So, and we got more people moving here all the time. Of course, that now Casey's getting mad because when I first said that, he's like, "What the fuck am I gonna do, Casey? You'll have to run Florida for me. Sorry."
You can move too.
Yeah, like
well, you know, it's a fair thing. You know, people want to stay by their family and stuff like that, and you know, if there's an emergency, they want to be the ones who can come help them. And you know, Florida, we got hurricanes and people that are tied down to Florida. I'm tied down as long as you know, I have my daughter here. So
yeah. Done. He will run Florida.
So I do want to we have a couple questions to answer that have been popped up in the question phase, but I didn't want to omit the important part of tonight's chat, even though we are having a grand old time. But we're a half hour into it and we've just been having a grand old time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to, I want to make sure I get a live chat with every instructor that's coming up for the muster before the muster. And so this week is Andrew's week, obviously. And Andrew is going to teach a class up here the weekend prior to the muster. And so folks that want to come for a bunch of cool training, if they can't do like a whole 10 days straight, if they just want to do 2 weekends in a row, that would be the weekend of the muster, and the previous weekend would be Andrew's class. So I want to make sure that there was a live chat where Andrew got to tell us what the fuck he's doing in his class. So what are you doing? What does it cost? What do you got to have? What training is a prerequisite? And what the hell can these guys expect?
All right. So patrolling the homestead is not a shooting class, but of course, I'd recommend having ammo on you. It's a class that I put on with Jay Gibson of Tactical Response. And basically, if you think about the type of patrolling that the military does, it's kind of that adapted for civilians. So all the crazy, weird formations that don't really work, but you have to learn in the School of Infantry, we just cut those out. There's like 4 that we use. Okay. And really, there's like 2 that you use most of the time. But think about that. The fact that we're all trying to get better at the martial application of using firearms. And we all also think about how there will be a time when there is no one coming to help you. There is no police or good guys with guns that are paid by the government to fix your problems. And it may come on you. You might have to go from point A to point B safely with guns in your hand. That's what this is about. Trying to tactically move as a team. So how do we plan that movement? How do we conduct that movement? What do we do if we see bad guys? What do we do if we have to fight bad guys? And really trying not to get in a fight at all, because, you know, one guy out of your team goes down and now you have to carry him back. You're all very ineffective. Trying to do that. So patrolling, right? But not necessarily exactly the way the military does it, but taking lessons that we have from the Marine Corps and Jay's experience in contracting and adapting that for civilians. And really, I think of it as a tactical movement class, and we also go pretty heavy on the planning of that movement, which some guys who have done like the tactical response contractor classes, they're like, man, this is a great way to augment that, because that's like a shooting, live fire drills constantly, where this is more of the planning and just the movement aspect. And so
what's it cost?
$450. I posted it in the chat. I'll go ahead and do that again.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
And right there again, if you go to Combat Art Training, click on Training Classes, and then Specialized Training, you will find it there. Again, do this class with Praelectus Training, which is Jay Gibson, who's been a tactical response instructor forever, and he also has his own company, Praelectus Training. So it's kind of like great being able to work with him, because there's like some things where I'm like, all right, dude, you teach this part, and we've even kind of traded which parts we teach, and it's cool being able to see the different ways. And now the class is starting to mature a little bit more too, where it's like there's some things we've cut out and some things we've added. If you're coming to the class too, I encourage you, like, bring your nods, your night vision, your thermal, bring your drone if you have one. That's something we've really been wanting to implement in the class. It'd be really cool to take a robot to go look over there instead of a human body, that we don't want to have to drag back.
As it turns out, I know a drone operator who was going to be around that weekend.
Who's that?
That other dude there with the red beard.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were into drones, man. You
I'm
should
into
teach
fucking
tactical
everything,
drone classes.
Well, I gotta figure out how to do it myself first, because like I can do it for photography. It's a whole nother game for like the recon. Like Gary and I have chatted about it a bunch in ways that we can employ it, and like how it can be a useful tool. Doing the thing, practicing that, I think is something that we should definitely incorporate, but we just haven't done it yet. So like I wouldn't feel comfortable teaching people how to run a drone to like surveil an area if we haven't really spent a ton of hours practicing it. Dude,
bring it. It might also, keep us out of trouble. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's always a good tool to have around.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that with you guys. I've gotten to be a student in your classes twice. I guess technically 3 times with day 3. So it's gonna be really awesome to do
the role play and swap the roles.
Yeah, I can't wait to be your student finally.
Yeah, I'm going to get to be the catcher instead of the pitcher.
My favorite.
He was in the Navy. Don't let him fool you.
Well, I'm going to point out that during the introduction, when there was pictures of active duty service members, the Navy one was the only good looking one.
Was that the 2 chicks?
That was the 2 chicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the jokes I wanted to make in a video was like, I don't recommend military service anymore to people. I mean, again, if it's a thing you need to do, go ahead. You live your life. But it's like thinking about, like, would I ever want to work at a company that pays for people to transition their genders?
To make them combat ineffective for 5 to 20,000 years,
or like the people were like, oh no, I was in the Army or whatever, and so I don't need to take that pistol class. Like, oh, you didn't fucking learn how to shoot a pistol in the Army. But then it's also I've pretty much become an anti-veteran, if that makes sense. Like I'm really sick. Not all veterans. I don't fucking hate people just because they served or whatever. But it's like I have gotten really sick of the veterans that will talk down on civilians. Like, I absolutely have zero patience for that whatsoever anymore. And even though at one point I was that guy a long time ago, but it's like I've had so many videos where people didn't realize that I'm a veteran and they start talking shit to me thinking I'm a civilian. And I'm like, oh, that was why you served, is so that you could do this on the internet now. And I've had guys that will be like, blah, 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 blah. Well, I was in the military. I'm like, and I would post my training resume, and they'd be like, well, those civilian classes don't count. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, that, thinking about the meme I want to make. No, there's that general that's a furry.
Yeah.
Sorry, that fucking Lieutenant fucking Scruffy Woof doesn't fucking approve of these classes.
Yeah.
Even though,
which is weird because I take the opposite view and don't count military training as a resume builder. Having had both, it doesn't cut it. Like it doesn't. Yeah. I'm not equating it.
Yeah.
Now, this actually brings me into something that I wanted to talk about. That it kind of like was in my brain, but I was busy, so I didn't have a chance to call anyone about it. But I had a dude, of course, he wanted to tell me about why 300 Blackout's so great. And I'm like, okay, what training do you have? He goes, oh, clearly you didn't see my picture. It's a Marine Corps Eagle Globe and Anchor. I go, yeah, I did see it. I was an 0311. I can tell you, if that's where your training ended, you were severely lacking in training. Okay. And hey, there is good military training. I'm not denying that. Okay. There is such a thing as good military training. I've had it. Also had the not good ones. But there's a clear difference between stuff you get to do in the military and stuff that you get to do in the martial training community in the civilian world. And anyway, the dude, kept blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, what year did you last receive medical training then? Blah, 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 just not answering the question. And, I was like, all right, so, and the funny thing is too, they'll call you closed-minded. Like, oh yeah, I take all these classes because I'm closed-minded.
Yeah.
But he said, because I was like, okay, the whole point of this video that you're commenting on was that instead of focusing on cool gear, 300 Blackout, to buy and specialty rounds and all that, you should be focused on taking training classes. He goes, well, yeah, the guy with the better fundamentals is going to win the engagement. Fundamentals are like a baby learning how to walk, right? We can think about fundamentals in many different ways, and different guys will talk about different fundamentals. Like I had another dude was talking about how, like, you should reload your gun like this and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I think you should be focused more on not getting shot when your gun runs out of ammo. He goes, well, the fundamental of it would be I'm like, well, not getting shot is a fundamental to us.
I love it when people conflate fundamentals with skills. Like, no, those are two separate things. Like a complex movement of doing a thing is a tactic or a skill. It's not a fundamental. A fundamental is a core value that cannot be broken. Like,
yeah. And but the other thing with that too is we look at fundamentals differently as we grow. Like, I mean, look at the way in dynamic pistol you guys teach the trigger press compared to how you initially were taught, and probably how you initially taught it, right?
Yep.
It's a lot simpler, but it's very different compared to that.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's like thinking about, like I said, not getting shot would be, I consider that a fundamental, right? Whereas what did the Marine Corps teach as a fundamental? Breath control, stance, the way your cheek is on the sock and shit like that, and it's like, well, that should
follow through all of the 11 fundamentals of the NRA.
Mm-hmm. So the kind of thing where I was going with that is, and another thing I've seen a lot is in memes and stuff too, is people talking about like, oh, these guys want to do all this tactical shit when they should be focusing on the fundamentals. Again, I think the general term fundamentals is more of a baby step. It's more of like, hey, gotta use your sights, press the trigger correctly, hold the gun right, shit like that. And I think saying that the important thing is to focus on fundamentals really does a disservice to everyone, because those fundamentals aren't going to be the thing that keeps a dude from stabbing you in the neck while you're at the ATM or at the gas station, right?
Well, I've seen in Force on Force that if a person has shitty skills, which fundamentals are the building blocks of skills, but they have great tactics, they win almost all the time against someone with shitty tactics and all the skill in the world.
Right. Right. Like
The dude's
it's
tactics are solid, and like so he's getting a turn before the guy with the skills even knows there's a fight. Like that dude always wins. It doesn't matter how he had to press the trigger 15 times to shoot our hero, but he got 15 trigger presses before the hero fucking got in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's like another video I want to do is you know, what's the fastest draw stroke in the world? You know, it's having the fucking gun in your hand before someone else tells you need a gun in your hand.
Yeah.
You know, like having the gun in your hand before the shot timer goes off, basically.
Yep, that's the fastest.
So, yeah, and fundamentals are always present and they're always important. However, yeah, like you said, it's a building block of skills, and you know, addressing the survival principles, mindset, tactics, skills, then gear. It's like the first step on the skills portion. It's just dipping your toes in the water.
Yep.
And like James used to say that people look at it turned upside down, the idiot's principles of putting gear at the top. And then just like this conversation I was having, this guy is like, you know, it's like you're just touching skills. You're not even really going into it. And that can lead into another discussion. And I'd like to hear your guys' take on it. And we've probably talked about it before, but now just my brain's going that way and I want to go that way now. Is at what point do skills become tactics, and what point does gear become the tactic? I would like to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, to me, they don't really overlap, because if there's something that you can point to, like you can define it into a category. Usually, I mean, I might be wrong. My brain just may not be, you know, creative enough at the moment to think of something that bridges both things. But like a tactic is something that is a decision. Like it is it a decision you make in a fight to give you an advantage, right? I think that's the terminology of a tactic. While as a skill is something that you perform. Now those can be conflated, I guess, a bit, but the skill is the mechanics, right?
I think the overlap is in that some tactics are only opened up by having certain skills, or in some cases certain gear.
Yeah, no, of course.
So like when Jay says, "Oh, I'm just going to shoot this guy from 800 yards over here," that's a great tactic. Like he can't even see me yet, so it's a great tactic for me to shoot him. Jay can do that because he's already bought the skill, and he probably has the gear that will accomplish it. And if I'm walking around with my 365 in my pocket, I don't have the gear to do it. And likewise, if you give me the right gear to do it, I don't have the skill that he does to employ that tactic, you know, as efficiently. So I can see that both skills and gear can open up tactics to you, but I don't think it really like one becomes the other.
Okay. Yeah, because the thing I was thinking about is just like I really like shooting, you know, what most people consider long distance with a pistol, like a 100-yard shot with a pistol, right? And the way I consider that would then be a tactic is I don't have to get closer to shoot that guy.
Yep.
You know, night vision is a piece of gear. You need skills to understand how to effectively use it, and those skills with that gear become tactics that you use.
Yes.
Right. So,
but the tactic itself isn't dependent on the skill, like, because you can be completely unskilled in using certain gear, or, you know, to still give a tactical advantage. You'll be better at it. Don't get me wrong. Like they go hand in hand, but one doesn't have to be paired to the other. I think working on both. And while I agree that there is a tree of principles of like, hey, mindset, because like mindset trumps all, right? Like, oh, if at the end of the day I want to have an advantage over somebody by distracting them, having the mindset to distract somebody to then gain an advantage in other ways, that's more important than having a flashbang on me or something like that. Mm-hmm. But like working on both the skill set of using night vision and having the gear that improves your night vision and, then learning tactics, those all can be like independent of one another, but raising them all together creates a better outcome.
Yes. And it's just like, another comment, because all these comments that I get generate a lot of thoughts in my head and things I want to talk about. And another one was like, I did a video, me shooting a gun, holding a flashlight. And I'm like, hey, the dude who has really advanced training and basic gear is always more deadly than the dude with really advanced gear and only basic training.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they say naturally, okay, night vision though. I have thermals, stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I definitely personally know people that own night vision that if they were hunting me and all I had was a flashlight and a pistol, I know I could beat them, simply because I've done force in the dark. I've trained with night vision and, I've had low light training and moved around in the darkness more than they have. So it's like, that night vision, you would think, yeah, I have the tool. Now that makes me effective, but it doesn't necessarily.
No,
that tool requires a skill, and then tool plus skill will equal tactic. You know what I mean? So it's like, and like Lewis is saying, the deeper I go down the rabbit hole, the more they all overlap, and that's kind of like where my brain has been going with it too.
Well, like if you look at the night vision thing, all right, so dude's got his $35,000 filmless fucking white phosphorus panos, and a fucking mall or whatever the newest greatest laser is on his gun. He's great at shooting passively with the laser, whatever, and he stands under a street light. Like, hey, bro, your tactics just caused you to lose to a dude that doesn't even have a flashlight because your tactics sucked. Didn't matter how skilled you were at using the nods to shoot and how great the nods were. You had shitty tactics and just stood there under a spot that you didn't even realize was lit. So there's definitely the hierarchy is correct for sure, but there is a certain false sense of confidence when people have a skill, and certainly when they get gear, they're like, oh, I can't lose now. I got the night vision, and they're like, bro, you don't even have a laser on your gun, and you've got a 4 to 16 power scope on it. So don't tell me you're going to aim passively either.
Yeah.
Even when I bought my first Gucci Glock trigger, I was like, this probably make me a lot better. Nope. it was like that much better,
The one thing I try not to fall into in this kind of like type of situation and thinking, I've used to very much be the mantra of like the mindset trumps all. Like, and I get where Lewis is going with it and where you're going with it, Andrew, in terms of like, hey, the mindset drives me to learn all the other things, but
right,
it is not a substitute for all the other things. Like I wouldn't ever say I'm like, oh, I'm checked off on mindset. Like that's something I have to constantly evaluate and all this other stuff. But like where I got to at a certain point was, okay, yes, I'm switched on. I understand, like I have a better understanding of myself and like getting better at things, but I still I need to acquire this skill. So like at a certain point I had to break away just from, well, it'll figure itself out, to I need to actively seek this particular thing. In my case, it was night vision, because like I did not feel comfortable. Like we did a lot of self-train, practice with our group, but like finding competent training to learn a very particular skill was something I still needed to do, separate of, well, I have a mindset of I will make it happen. So it doesn't trump. Like you still need to go out and find okay, I have a mindset to accomplish this mission. It will get accomplished. Okay. But what's going to make it a lot easier? Some night vision, like some gear that will help that. So like they are independent, but yes, they're all driven. They're all driven by the mindset.
Yeah. And one thing that Don Edwards says that I totally agree with is, if you don't have the skill, then you did not have the mindset.
Yeah.
Which I think is basically where you're going with that.
Well, a lot of folks, when they when they look at that hierarchy, they're only counting it from the time the fight starts. Well, yes, when there was danger, I was in the right mindset that I will do whatever it takes to win, and I'm not going to be afraid to commit acts of violence against another human being because, it's me versus them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which tells me they don't understand the principle of mindset to begin with. But I would say way more people, when you talk about mindset, they equate, yes, you mean when the switch gets turned on that, I'm now ready to do these things I don't do in my normal everyday life. I won't quit. I won't hesitate to do something that normally is unsavory, blah, 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 blah. No, the mindset is when you woke up in the morning 5 years ago and said, I'm going to get on the internet today and find a class to take. Like, that's the beginning of the mindset. When people are talking about that hierarchy and they kind of poo-poo the mindset thing, I think it's because they're only saying, when my fight happens, do I have the mindset? Of course I have the mindset. Do I have the skills? Yes, they probably don't, but they think that they do. Yes, I have a gun on me. Okay. Do you have a gun on you at your house? No. Oh, so your mindset sucks. But their fight hasn't started, so they don't count that. It's not getting scored as if they, any of those things, because that's pre-fight.
Yeah, it's also like the example that Sonny gives with like moms that are choosing not to carry a gun or learn anything, and they're like, oh, but if anyone messes with my kids, I'm gonna be mama bear. Yeah. No, the fuck you're not. No, you're not. Like, you are easy as fuck to kill, and you're the primary target because of that.
Yeah, the dudes that are like, I don't really need to train. When I get angry, I see red, and people better look out.
Yeah. I just see red and go fucking ape shit.
Yeah.
Those folks are going to die with just a little more defiance in their system.
Oh, man.
All right. Well,
we got Jay here. Yeah.
Jay came.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Zach is here.
All the cool people. Well, it's good that I got a couple vets that showed up because, we're already an hour in, and I had two. We haven't got to the questions yet. It's okay. We're gonna run late tonight. And I had a thing that was fucking eating at me like 2 days ago. I even made a video about it, and I wanted to get a chance to play it today. And the intro was kind of around it. Joe Kent. I wanted to address Joe Kent. He is a Army veteran who is a political candidate, I want to say, in Washington State. I think Washington State. Don't quote me on that for sure. Oh, look, we even got a spam.
Wow.
That's on Twitch, so that's coming through Andrew's channel.
Finally, I have a Twitch viewer.
So, and I was like, I don't know this guy. Don't fucking care, whatever. But apparently, it's popped up in my Instagram feed, so I pirated the video off of the Instagram feed. He's got a small issue with his ego. This is not going to shock you.
A politician?
Yeah, politician with
a veteran.
A veteran. Wait till you find out what he did in the Army. That'll even make it more obvious. But he quoted. He quoted. I'm going to quote him from a speech that he made. He was talking about Biden, and this quote was just a little snippet to kind of set the stage for what he wanted to talk about, how fucked up Joe Biden is. In which case, I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. But him setting up the scenario, the backdrop for say, it irked me. It irked me greatly. It's something that popped up earlier with somebody else that I know that I have not publicly addressed because I'm going to address it person to person first. But I don't fucking know Joe Kent, so I'm okay with and he's a politician, so he's not even really like a human being. So I'm going to play the video that I made that has his quote in it, and then we can chat about it since a couple vets I respect in the the chat and a vet here in the on the live chat. Let me find the video. I edited some shit together. All right, here we go.
When Biden put his hand on the Bible and swore in 3 years ago, he inherited the most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen. The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen. The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen. The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen. The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen. The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen. The most battle-hardened military the United States has ever seen.
So we got a GWAT veteran who says that in what year did Biden win? 2020? The United States had the most battle-hardened military we've ever seen. These are guys that get sat phone calls to their families every day, and he's comparing them to soldiers at the Battle of the Bulge who didn't have boots and fought in the snow for weeks. And now we get guys that get like timeout cards in boot camp, but they're more battle hardened than we've ever seen. And I was like, you egotistical motherfucker. So it bugged me that we've got veterans who can't win wars against fucking dirt farmers, in some cases opium farmers. And we ain't fucking, won a war since the 40s. And that motherfucker is saying that they're harder than World War II vets. Now, I got this other little part here. I'll show in a moment, and we'll figure out why. I was like, why the fuck would this dude say this? And
deployments. I don't really know many GWAT veterans that just did one or two. Most of us were repeat offenders.
So there it was. He was patting his own back. Oh, I'm a GWAT veteran, so we're the hardest military that there's ever seen. Yep, that was that was the issue I wanted to bring up with Home Slice. Andrew, if you got any thoughts on Mr. Kent?
Yeah, so this is something that just to kind of demonstrate to my daughter. She was asking me, she was like, the war you're in, asking questions and stuff. I'm like, wasn't that bad. Like for me personally, very thankful for that too. Got to fight a few times. Wasn't that traumatic. Other people had a much harder time than me. But that being said, I explained to her, I'm like, hey, this war, it's gone on for a long time. It's not necessarily for good reasons. And also we didn't take that many casualties. So, and Sonny's here too, but I pulled up videos of just casualties during World War II. Like even that, America compared to Russia, like our contribution is like fucking not that big. Okay. But if you look at the wars America specifically fought in, I pulled up a thing just now. Yep, right there. Okay. We look at American Civil War, over 600,000 casualties. World War II, over 400,000. World War I, over 100,000. Vietnam, about 60. And then War on Terror, that's been going on since 2001, 7,000 casualties. So, yeah, there's been some fighting, but it's definitely not what other guys had to go through. Okay. I had air conditioning in Afghanistan. All right. I wasn't worried about getting my throat sliced during the middle of the night. I mean, of course, could happen. Right. But it was also not a 2-year deployment. I didn't have to, deal with weeks on worth of artillery shells hitting my position. It's one of those things that I talked about with Sonny in his class is it seems a lot of veterans want to kind of play the victim. Like, we had it so bad. And I even remember when I was in, guys trying to make it seem like they had more PTSD stuff going on than what they really warranted. And it was a little bit fucking crazy with that. But basically, okay, the war on terror, it's not necessarily like every battle is dudes bayonet charging and, running out of ammo. It's like a lot of, like, in my experience at least, it was shooting machine guns from a very well covered position and then calling in really expensive missiles to hit within 10 meters of the coordinates we gave them, because we have the American tax dollar backing us. It was very much so more gear orientated wins.
Yeah.
Orientated. I don't know if that's the right word, but we do not have it as bad as they had. Battle hardened. We've made more advancements in tactics and technology.
No doubt.
As soon as we stop fighting, a lot of those things are going to go away during peacetime, like they always have. So we're going to lose that progress. If anything, it almost feels like the benefit we would get is just having more experience if we went into World War III right now. But battle hardened, man, some guys, yeah, sure. Have we made our military better? In many ways, yes, but also like you said, stress cards in boot camp, trainees in the military. Lots of weird changes happened just when I was in my short time. But no, I got investigated for hazing just for inspecting rooms, and we left them alone at 9:30 at night on a field day. That shit didn't even happen for me. I know it didn't fucking happen for you, Gary.
Yeah. Yeah, well, my counter argument to Home Slice would be that we probably have the softest military that America has ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you could probably find small blocks, in between conflicts where it dipped low, where, not only were they not hard, they weren't fucking very good either at what they did because they didn't have any experience. But for 20 years, in the longer version, he talks about 20 years of all volunteers, blah, 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 blah. Man, if you had a dude who had been at it for 20 years, that guy should be fucking as hard as fucking, diamonds. And instead, he's the guy with the sign outside that says, "No fireworks, please." I'm like, that dude ain't hard. Sorry.
Well, so I'm obviously not a veteran, so I don't.
It's really okay. We're not going to get mad at you. You're good.
I know you guys aren't.
We're going to talk down to you in a minute.
And if someone does get mad at you for it, I'm going to call them a faggot. So.
Well, no, but it's. I mean, the viewpoint I have isn't like I can't say what's hard or isn't hard, or like what does hard even mean? Like in what we were talking about before, is it the mindset? Like, is it the skill? I mean, maybe we're using that as a term to kind of catch all of it. But the thing that strikes me is like, well, the military is nothing more or less than a reflection of the country as a whole at any one time. Like, who was really like hard motherfuckers? The people that rose up against England to fight off tyranny, right? Like those people had to survive on their own, like grow farms, actually like homesteaders do today. The people that we look at and go, wow, that's a hard motherfucker. If the country was made of just those people, we would have a fucking awesome military probably. Where it wouldn't be so focused on the me. It'd be focused on the us or the mission or the country. But right now we have a country where everyone's focused on like my feelings. My feelings are valid. I'm more valid than anybody else. Like that's where we live. So it's obviously gonna be reflected in like the soldiers and all the people in the military because that's what it's made of, right?
Yep.
I think too, like just we all had the memes of like the recruiting commercials and stuff where it's like the lesbian girl and whatnot, and And it's like, yeah, I think that's a kind of a good representation too, because it's like, you know, there used to be a Marine Corps commercial where it was a dude slaying a fire monster with a sword.
Yeah.
Like that's not it anymore. Like it'd be really cool to like show like, Al Qaeda or ISIS or something up to something bad, and then dudes come in through the darkness and you just see blood splatter across the screen. They leave it up to your imagination. Like that would be something I'd be like, dude, that looks fucking cool.
I want to do that.
It seems more like the the best recruitment that the military has is more like gun YouTube channels run by SF guys.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the Navy SEAL recruitment commercial
with Godsmack?
Was there Godsmack?
Oh yeah,
dude.
Best soundtrack ever to a recruiting commercial.
My two favorite recruiting commercials ever, and I'm in advertising, so like this is the stuff that I get off on, right? Like, and so obviously top spot goes to the Marines, right? Like slaying fucking dragons with a flaming sword, like the dress blues, it's the whole fucking package. However, that's like I love the subtlety that they did in the Navy commercials, where like it was you were seeing the ocean, and then like the clouds would cover the moon, and it would get real dark, and then all of a sudden the clouds would leave from the moon, and all of a sudden you see footsteps that appeared on the beach coming out of the water. You remember, like obviously being like, oh yeah, Navy SEALs were in there, and they just assaulted a beach completely in silence and darkness without in total stealth. I'm like, that showed nothing and everything. It was awesome.
Yeah, leaving up to the imagination, right?
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, they had two commercials with Godsmack. I think the song was Awake. I'll mouth the music. It goes like and then it goes the dun 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 dun. That's all, right?
Yeah.
And that was a badass one too. But yeah, man, man, like it's been kind of like commercialized too when you like when you do go on the mega base. Like I remember when I was a kid and my dad went to Iraq and he's talking about how they have Burger King and shit. Like the war itself was not fought for the reasons we think it was fought for. It was, in my eyes, it was made to make pedophiles and their friends rich.
Yep.
More than anything. Even like talking about how we're fighting drug farmers. Well, I've seen plenty of stuff that says that the whole reason we were in Afghanistan was so that we could keep drugs in America. And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, not the hardest military, dude. The hardest, like Vietnam vets. We have been painted a picture that Vietnam vets are broken, shell-shocked dudes with PTSD, and they're all sad, and we should feel bad for them. But I have personally met the dudes that were the hardest motherfuckers. Like, you seen that movie, Get Hard? With
Kevin Hart
and Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell,
And Will Ferrell's trying to get tough, and he goes up to this old guy. He's like, I'm gonna beat your ass. And the guy goes, I was in Nam, and I fucking loved it, and headbutts him. I met that guy, okay? Because I used to do door-to-door marketing because I wanted to get gooder, get better at talking to people. So, yeah, I got gooder at saying words. Yeah. One guy I met, I saw his helmet, and I was like, were you a pilot in the military? He's like, yeah, I was in Vietnam. And I was like, asking him, he basically flew the Little Bird, but the Vietnam version. And I was like, do you guys have miniguns on those? He's like, let me tell you something. There's nothing in this world that gets a young lieutenant more excited than the sound of his minigun spooling up on the side of his helicopter before he lets hate into the jungle. I was like, holy shit, this guy's fucking brutal, right? And then there's another guy I met doing door-to-door and talking to him. Turns out he was a Marine. Turns out he was a recon Marine in Vietnam. And I was like, hey, man, what did you guys think about the M16 when it first came out? He's like, oh, man, we really liked it. It was a really good rifle. The Gooks really liked it. In fact, one time I put it up in a tree and I shot 17 of them as they went to take it. And Dave's like, let me tell you something else. You do not want to get taken prisoner by us. I was like, holy fuck. Now this dude's like talking about war crimes. So it's like, whereas, you know, you'll meet a lot of dudes that are like, oh, they don't do enough to help the veterans and blah, blah, blah. Like those dudes were fucking killers, like straight fucking killers. Those guys were fucking hard. Could you imagine patrolling in Vietnam? Are you fucking kidding me?
Those dudes are still hard. They're 65 years old, 70 years old. I don't know how fuck old you are if you're a Vietnam vet at this point, because damn, I'm old. But I'll take, you give me a couple of Vietnam vets or a couple of GWAT vets to, you know, to keep me safe. I'll take the Vietnam vets every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they can walk still.
They'll fucking crawl over and eat the fucking kidneys right out of the fucking bad guy.
No, I know what you mean. I'm just.
That's another thing. You guys should listen to the book. I'll try to pull it up right now and throw it in the chat. I think it's called Across the Fence, but everyone who's taking the patrolling class should read this book called Across the Fence.
John Stryker
Meyer. Yeah. And it's a book about SOG guys in Vietnam. And you can get a lot about patrolling out of that. But that's a good, interesting look into this too. And hearing their stories, or the SOG cast that Jocko Willink was doing, hearing, I think his name was Blackjack, his story. Dude took on, like, I don't know, a fucking 1,000 NVA with like 8 guys, right? Just shooting their way through the waves of attacks and calling in airstrikes the whole time. I think his name was Blackjack on the SOGcast. That was really good. I just posted up the name of the book, but everyone should read that. Even if you're not able to make it to Patrolling the Homestead, you should read it too, or get the Audible and listen to it. John Stryker Meyer actually reads it himself.
Nice.
But
I'll do that one next. Right now,
I read it, so I had to hear it in my own voice. I'm the Iron Sights of books. I open them up the old way and read them.
I would if I could see better. I've tried.
You don't even have to open the cover. You just pick up the book, and those glasses, you just read all the way through it in one spot. That was pretty good. I was much more livid about that cat on Monday when I first heard the thing.
Yeah.
I'm making a video for the fucking Liveshat. And in case anybody was wondering if they were taking a guess about what job Joe Kent had in the Army, you're going to be shocked, but he wore a French hat and called himself Special. So, yeah, he was
a fucking cook.
He was a Green Beret.
Oh, okay. I thought you said okay. French hat, like a chef hat. I'm like, wait, what?
That's a fucking French hat.
Yeah,
When the Army went berets across the board for everyone, I fucking run around my house like, yes, berets for the entire Army. Everyone's like, who the fuck do you care? And I went, the Navy's no longer the gayest branch.
Wow.
See, I was a kid, so I thought that looked cool. And I think it was because, like, I had a book on special forces from around the world, and I saw a couple of them wearing berets. I'm like, they look cool. And so to me, it didn't bother me. It's kind of like guys that get mad at the Black Album that Metallica put out. For me, it didn't bother me because it was like,
I love the Black Album.
Born. Yeah. But guys who are into them on Kill 'Em All, they hate the Black Album. You know? Yeah. Gary hates it.
I remember the day Master of Puppets was released. Like, that's That's where my fandom was cemented. So that was 86. So yeah, come 90 when the Black Album came out, I was like, who the fuck is this?
See, now, because we were talking about Megadeth when you're on your last, and I never really, besides So Far So Good So What as a kid, but I never really listened to Megadeth in terms of albums. I would always just go for songs I liked. Yep. And so then I went and I re-listened to all of the Megadeth stuff on albums, but I didn't really listen too much of their new stuff or Risk or anything like that. But I do see the excitement you must have had when Rust in Peace came out.
Dude, I just got goosebumps because you said Rust in Peace.
Because I listened to that, I'm like, oh fuck! Like I'm very excited for the next song on each one, and I want to go back and listen to it again. Yep. Five Magics is one of my all-time favorite songs.
It's so great.
But then I'm a super nerd when it comes to that shit. And so I've listened to people doing an analysis on it, and they're like, well, it's kind of like this guitar solo sounds like the good wizard, and this one sounds like the bad wizard as they fight. And I'm like, holy fuck. Like, there's so many layers to this music.
Yep. Don't do this to me. I can't comprehend it all today. All right. So we're way overboard, and we got the question period. So these are our questions. Do we have any tips on not developing training scars with non-martial training? For example, airsoft, USPSA, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, just take it in context, It's just like, because I'm this weekend I'm training with Jared Reston. He's a dude who wants you to look at the holster and wants you to press the button on the reloads and stuff like that. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this stuff here, just take it all in. You will find, if you go at the thing thinking about, I'm here to receive the best information, then you will. I think more so if you're worried about training scars, you'll get them. And, just remember that after you do that thing, whatever the thing is that you're worried about getting training scars from, you need to do additional repetitions in the way that you would want to do it in a gunfight, and then you're more likely to do it that way. It's just like some makeup repetitions.
I think for the most part, the people watching this live chat are probably adults. Mm-hmm. So they should be able to compartmentalize enough to say, hey, this is a thing I'm going to go do, and it's that thing. All the shit that isn't applicable to my lifestyle, I'm leaving there. Like I go to a concert. I don't walk away, being a metalhead the rest of my life. The concert, I compartmentalized. I really wanted to enjoy, this band playing. And then I set that aside and I got enjoyment out of it. I'm going to go do something else now. I don't let that change.
You're supposed to be watching her.
Yes, so it's no different. Like if you go do a USPSA match, like, hey, that's great. Some of the things will actually help you. You just need to be able to, in your head, say, hey, this is the game I'm going to go play today. I'm not going to get caught up in it. And leave here going, how can I make the timer say a smaller number?
Mm-hmm.
The timer isn't the be-all, end-all. Oh, as long as you can delineate that, you'll be fine.
Although there's one other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about too, and that's the idea of we should eventually also create a new competition style that is more gunfight oriented, with like less rules. And I don't know, there's got to be some way you could do it. I just haven't done enough competition shooting to really see it.
Well, I've done a fair amount of competition shooting years back, and I actually have a like half-page set of rules for an entire. That's all the rules for a shooting match that I came up with. How is it scored? What are you required to do? What are you not allowed to do? And the whole thing fits on like a little over half of one page. Just you got to simplify it down into not stupidness. And then if you don't take the whole thing seriously, I mean, like don't take it so that it's your guiding light. you can just go, oh, well, we designed this stage and something wasn't clear and somebody did something that we hadn't thought of yet. Should we make a rule? No, just give the shooter the benefit of the doubt and move on.
Mhm.
Instead of going, oh, now we've got to set a whole new chapter of rules with 7 different subsections. So in case this situation ever pops up again, just give them the benefit of the doubt and let's move on.
Because that's the thing that I know for sure for myself, that I'm like, do I want to learn about this? I like tried learning about USPSA and they started talking about power factor, and I was like, no, I was like, no, I'm done learning about this,
Yeah,
so
don't care.
It probably prevents people from going in,
Yeah, are you shooting major or minor? I don't know, bro. I got a 9mm. You put me wherever it says I need to go.
Yeah. For me, I think like whatever the evolution is of like if we were gonna really come out with like a combat oriented like competition, it has to have a willful opponent and it has to have force on force, and it wouldn't be a game. It would be a sport where it's two people. Like somehow you set up a scenario between the two where it's like, hey, this is a controlled environment, but you guys are gonna fight. Like to me,
Yeah.
until it's that, it's just paper. Like it's just practice.
And I think there's things maybe still in Vegas. They did try to do it in Tampa with Tampa gunfights, and it was force on force at a game. And I think that could be cool. I'd like to make it too where you have a good enough helmet and we do a good enough job on safety where it's like the only way to fucking actually down the player is a brain shot.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
like something.
yeah, it's not. But
Right.
things other than brain shots usually work. So like in my head, I'm like when you said, "Hey, what's the real combat oriented thing?" It's like, oh well, whatever most closely can resemble real world fighting.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
backed off enough so that it's that you can control the environment. It's not scenario based. It's something that's combat sport, if you will. Because that's the thing that's always lacking for me. Like even with the discussion before of like how do you stop like training scars? Well, like there are things you're going to do that are always off of what you want to actually do in the real fight. But as like to me, the most important thing is imagining that cardboard target is not cardboard. It's putting like I think Tim was the first one. Tim Morris was the first one ever to explain this to me in a class, and it always stuck with me. It's like, yeah, that bad guy right there, that's a bad guy, but standing right next to her is little Susie Rottencrotch or whatever name he gave her for the day, and like if you don't do something, she dies, or if you miss and you hit her, she dies. Like is putting your head space to say that is real, because you have to be able to like move your brain there to like think through the actual fight, because like so many people have that disconnect. I even do it now too, because I've been around shooting so much that like it almost loses the effect for me to shoot on cardboard, because like I'm now it's kind of like skill set masturbation, where it's like, oh well, I'm not putting I'm not getting amped up anymore. Maybe that's a little bit of inoculation, but I'm not. It's hard for me to put myself into the situation of like, all right, I'm actually in a fight right now, and I need to treat that cardboard target like it's a dude that needs to get smoked or I'm going to die.
Right, especially when we're like all having a good time and stuff,
Yeah.
And then it's like, shit, I need to, get back into martial mindset, not having fun. Like I'm supposed to be working,
Yeah. And, which is the tough part to balance, because you want both. Like the best part about this world is like the people that we get to meet through it, and the skill set that we gain from it, and like the benefits it has for us and our families. But like there has to be some sort of balance between those two, where there is a serious factor in either the training, the practice, or in the question you posed, the competition. And that to me is what's missing from everything is the seriousness. Because at the end of the day, those dudes that fucking go shoot USPSA, they're just gamers. Like the ones that take it real seriously, like that game.
Yeah.
Like if you flick a 9mm round into the air and catch it in your hand, like if you've ever done that, you've broken my heart. like, because they do, unload and show clear. Okay, put that gun away and hammer down. It's terrible. It's terrible because it completely breaks any type of immersion that you would have had in that moment anyway. Like, there's no fight. It's none whatsoever.
All right, second question. Peculiar question, I would call it.
Peculiar.
Yes. What distance should your irons be zeroed at typically on a pistol? Specifically on a Glock, not saying what type of Glock, that wasn't given. And is there any difference for suppressor height sights? Now, here's my thing with iron sights on the pistol. If they're adjustable, they're moments away from breaking. And so they shouldn't be adjustable because they're not reliable. And if they're not adjustable, I don't know, like they're going to be zeroed at whatever somebody else decided they were going to be zeroed at. And you're just going to have to know holdovers.
Yeah, and you got to check too with your carry ammo what the point of impact is going to be. Only like 25 yards, right? That's what they're usually at. I mean, I pretty much just shoot my gun and figure out where they hit, but
depends on the design of the sight, right? Like,
because if some sights are designed for, what I would consider the more typical 6 o'clock hold, where when everything's lined up, the bullet hole appears sitting on top of the front sight, and then other sights are meant for what I've heard some folks refer to as a combat hold, where if everything's lined up, the bullet hole is hidden by the front sight, which is kind of like how big dots work. So,
yeah,
it depends on the design of the sights and like whatever distance they figured that out at.
Because like big dot sights, I mean, there is some variation between the guns and the sight heights. Like you might have a 6 o'clock hold, you might have a dead on hold. It depends sometimes, but I've never seen one where it's like, oh, if that sight changes between 3 yards and 15 yards. Like if you're on, you're pretty much on with the pistol hit, and then at a certain point you'll have to transition to the top. Just because of ballistics, like you have to start using the.
And now we're only talking 9mm,
right? Yeah,
because if we have a different velocity caliber, it might change. Like for instance, a 380 at 50 yards, the bullet impact is somewhere about the middle of your wrist. So like the gun's up and the bullet's going to hit here. With a 9mm at 50 yards, if my front sight's here, the round's going to hit way high. Where on a 380, it's going to hit way low. So that's just the factor of velocity between the 380 and the 9mm. So it's hard to answer the question, because even if we say Glock specifically, like are we just talking a 19 because that's what a Glock is, and everything else is like an alteration?
No, we're talking like what are the 37, 35? What's the one that reminds me of the Joker in the Batman movie?
I literally had somebody send me a picture today of a 17L.
Yeah.
And they said, make fat guns great again. I was like, that's an SBR.
That's a pistol caliber carbine right there.
Well, Glock's been making carbines for years. You all just fail to see it.
All you got to do is put that thing on your shoulder.
Where do you guys, are you guys both big dot guys for irons, or do you have a favorite set of irons? Big dots?
Yep.
Have you messed with the F8s at all?
Yes, I have a gun here with them. They're fine, but they're not nearly as fast. And the dot on the front of F8s is orange, and orange does not show up in the dark nearly as well as their yellow or their white.
Yeah, I like the F8s a lot. And yeah, I wish they would just bring back white on everything.
Turns out the human eye sees white really well in the dark, better than all the other colors.
Yeah, the big dot F8 is kind of like the XS F8. Is that the one that's like a notch and post, but has like a real big?
It's got a really, really big notch, so there's a lot of daylight around the post.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the RD3, or I don't know.
It's 3D.
It's 3DR, 3D.
It's like red, but with a number, I think.
Yeah, and those are more traditional looking notch and post. They don't have as much space around them. I think I have a gun here with those. I think I have a sim gun with those, and they shoot like everybody else's iron sights.
Yeah, the only thing I don't really like about big dots is just when you are shooting like beyond 25, then the holds get weird. You know, like I've had it where it's like at 50 yards, I have to aim, put the top of my dot like almost a foot below the target, depending on the gun ammo combination and shit. And then that's where I'm like, I haven't shot a ton with them, but the F8s I've been really liking because it is a pretty big front sight. Yeah, and that's not supposed, so it's flatter. You know,
I've just I really find that the sight preference discussion becomes very much oriented around like people glom onto it like this one's better because I shoot it better, but you shoot it better because you put a lot of time into shooting that sight. Like,
yeah,
I think it's like we should advocate for picking one and becoming proficient with it rather than this one's better than this one. I personally like the big dot sights because they're simple and they were really easy for me to like. I found them simpler to become proficient and then just stayed proficient with them. But I have others like, you do this long enough and you're like, whatever. At least if it has sights, I'm good. Like with pistols.
Yeah, like, if it doesn't have sights, I might have to slow down some.
Yeah.
You would think, but I have a Tokarev that you would disagree with you.
Well, yeah.
Like the old fucking sights are just like it's so small, it's straight up unusable.
Yeah.
All right. So next question: will patrolling the homestead for Andrew, or if Jay Gibson is still in the house, Fafo, come back to Pennsylvania? I can't miss any more work to get to that class.
Yeah, I'd like to. So, yeah, I mean, the muster seems to be like a growing thing. So if anything, I'm going to try to have it before the next one. It's just, we haven't planned that far out yet.
Yeah, I haven't planned that far out yet either.
As long as Gary still likes me, then yes.
Yeah, a lot of things could happen between now and then.
As for Fafo, I mean, I don't know if Jay's still here, but I helped kind of coordinate that last year. And what I will say is when we put that together, it was around this time last year. So if you guys are interested in maybe seeing if Jay will come up in the fall, hit me up. I'll help coordinate that because I always love doing that. Also, it'd be great to bring him back up here and do some more either executive protection and or something in an immersive environment because that was a lot of fun last year.
Well, especially now that I'm a certified agent for the state of Pennsylvania, the ability to actually perform executive protection duties in this state.
In your Act 235 capacity?
Yes. Where surprisingly they made me look even fatter in my fucking ID card.
Oh. Your endocrinologist took the picture.
They said, yeah, you don't have to do a picture for your ID card. We're just going to take the one from your driver's license because it's already on file with the state. Okay, so they took like a 16:9 photo and they needed to make it 1:1. So they smushed it. They didn't crop it. They just smushed it. Like holy shit. It's like I ate you. Andrew, what's your preferred breakdown of time spent during dry fire, live fire, classes, force on force? Now he said preferred, so that might not be what you do. It might be what you would prefer to do.
It's like I think, man. So now it's becoming in my brain like what would be the best way to do it. I would say like. For the shoot, because we're talking about shooting basically, shooting and decision making. So I would say like, you take your fighting style pistol class, really should go take like I'm going to get good at shooting pistol class now. After that, a more of a performance class. Practice that shit in your dry practice and your live fire. And I don't think you necessarily need to take a ton of different pistol classes beyond that, unless it's more fighting type stuff. Like there would definitely be a benefit to that. But like at least doing the fighting one, the important one, the performance one. Now I'm going to get really good at shooting because I see exactly how. They didn't really talk about this stuff in the fighting class as much. And then when you're dry practicing, do 10 minutes a couple days out of the week, like 3 days at least, and of dry practice. If you feel like you need more, add another day, or maybe pick it up and do a little bit more of that. And then I would, for the force on force, the money you're going to put into training, taking classes, I would try to do that as much as possible, because that's the thing that you can't really get good at by going to the range on your own or dry practicing at home on your own. So it's like you need those baseline skills, but primarily I would try to spend the money on force. I would do it more if I could. There's like one place I know of down here that does force on force classes, and they have nothing on their schedule for it. I was going to start doing it. Now I can't buy UTM. So what we've been doing, and you could do this with your friends, is like Casey, who's in the chat, he comes over. I invite my students to come over, and not scenario driven yet, although we have scenarios we've been wanting to do, but just the practical application of inflicting pain on another human and trying not to get shot. Force on force drills with airsoft at our house is a thing we've started doing. So basically like, hey, both of you move and shoot the other guy. Like you get 1 round. Okay, you get 3 rounds, and just seeing the results of that. Like thinking about when that gun first comes out of the holster, that round matters the most, and how you start moving matters a lot. So it's kind of like getting small repetitions of the thing that's going to make you lethal and also more likely to not get shot.
He didn't ask what Mike and I's fucking preferred breakdown is, so we don't get to talk about that. I can't do my preferred, because if we say just flat out for what I prefer would be like a class, like 6 classes a year, and in between those classes would be the practice, so that I could go back to the next class and be like, hey, I worked on all the shit from the last one, I'm ready for the next one. So like every other month I would do a class. I would do force on force twice a week, dry fire every day, and live fire probably 2 times a month.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen because I can't fucking do force on force twice a week.
Right.
There's somewhere here to fucking do it.
Yeah.
But I would prefer it. I'd prefer like a Wednesday night instead of this live chat, like a 2-hour force on force session, and then a full day every Saturday.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I wanted to get the airsoft gun. I was thinking like, hey, I could go to, there's like 5 airsoft fields around me. I could go to that and just practice not getting shot, practice never running out of ammo, practice using cover really good, and just like try to do like I could just focus on one thing each day, and it's not the same as a real force on force class, but there's benefits in there. And everyone should listen to Mike's podcast with TJ to hear TJ talk about doing that.
Yeah.
And the last question was, who would win a tickle fight between you two? Which I think means me and you. So that.
Well, I'm only ticklish in a couple spots.
Oh, so, I know who would win.
Here's my thought on it. If we're having a tickle fight, we all win.
Here's my theory on this. If the purpose of a tickle fight is to make the other person uncomfortable and want you to stop tickling them, Gary is the easiest mark in the history of marks because he doesn't like people touching him.
That's true.
Like he doesn't like hugs.
Nope. That's why when I haven't seen someone for a while, like I come right in and get the hug out of the way so that we're done. Like, like great. I haven't seen you in 5 years. We got the hug done. You're staying at my house for the next week. I don't have to ever fucking touch you again. Like we don't shake hands. There's nothing.
One of my favorite things to do whenever I take a class and Tim's there is I just come up and I put my hand on his shoulder and I start talking to him because he will get real mad at that, but he does that to everyone. So I on purpose to start doing that to him. I'm like, especially after I see him do it to someone, then I'll get one in right there.
You got to get one at the time that he's doing it to somebody else and get like double.
All right, that was all the questions we had. So we got those out the way.
Well, it's almost 10. Like, aren't you like it's an hour past your bedtime?
Yeah, I'm fucking 50 years old. I should have been in bed 45 minutes ago.
Andrew's got like another 8 hours before he tries to sleep, probably.
I still got to figure out how to stay awake 2 nights in a row this weekend for low light pistol and low light carbine.
Oh, dude, how late do you go on those?
Playing it around midnight.
Yeah, see when I'm gonna
Are those at the new range?
Yeah.
I'm gonna start doing low light classes again, but when I first was doing them, I was going till 3 a.m, and that was a fucking mistake.
Yeah, that's rough, and especially the first day, we're doing an 8-hour workshop during the day, taking a break for dinner and coming back for the low light. Dinner is going to be like a bunch of Red Bull or something for me.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I had a day like that. I taught a class at Aries all day, and then I had to do an hour drive to go to the other range to do the low light class, and we were there till like 3 a.m. And with all that heat and whatnot, there was no fucking like I was barely able to walk at the end of it.
I believe you. Yeah, that is coming up. I never mentioned that. Weekend workshop weekend is this coming weekend. Shooting and moving pistol workshop. Low light pistol workshop, which is all white lights, it's not night vision, and low light carbine workshop on Sunday night. There is, if you want to come to it, you can. Plus, the weekend after, Mike and I are jointly teaching
navigation dynamics.
Yep, a day in the classroom where Mike will be the lead instructor and I will assist him, and then a day in the woods where I will be the lead instructor and Mike will assist me. Had a couple people sign up for that today. I actually had to order more of the land nav kits to make sure that we had enough in case any more people sign up between now and then. So that's coming up. And then what do we got after that? The night vision workshop is on the 8th of June.
Yeah.
Then I think I finally get a weekend off. Like Father's Day weekend.
You're not doing buddy dynamics on Father's Day this year?
No, because Red Rock is always booked on Father's Day weekend. So I'm not, I didn't put it on the schedule because I didn't have the access to the new range when I did the schedule for this year. So maybe next year it'll be on the Father's Day. Steven's trying to get another dude into the land nav class. That's cool.
Awesome. It's a good time. It's a good skill. Like one that a lot of people take for granted.
Oh, yeah, that gets me something about the fucking gun people of the world. I talked to a bunch of guys that have like the Glock sticker on the back window of their pickup truck and, are wearing their Smith & Wesson hat. And you're like, oh, this might be one of my people. They have no idea how a compass works. They can't read a map. They don't even know if it's fucking upside down. I was like, that's a very adjacent skill, being in the woods and stuff. And like, I got my phone. Okay. Yeah. Whatever, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mentioned this one. I had Chuck Peoples on. You guys should get in contact with Chuck. But he, I was talking about this guy that's like a friend of one of my students, and he was in National Guard in like the 80s or 70s or something. And he's like, yeah, if the world ever goes to hell, I'm going to come to you and take some training. I'm like, well, that'd be too late. And I was like, I'm being nice about it, but I'm like, you know, one thing you should do for sure, no matter what, is at least go take some medical training. And he goes,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they taught us it when I was back in the, you know, the 70s or 80s. And the simple thing is anything from here to here, just pack it and wrap it. I'm like, yeah, don't do that. Please don't do that. That's definitely going to cause more harm. Like,
Yeah, for some reason
that's wrong.
that sucking chest wound just won't stop. I can pack it all day.
Well, I keep putting more shit in there. I don't know where it's going. Like Mark's wife.
Oh man,
That's terrible. All right, so usually I cover that shit in the beginning, and I forgot. So now nobody's even listening.
nope.
But it was great having you on, Andrew, and we'll do this again because it's always fun talking to you. And now your phone works, we can actually coordinate this kind of thing better.
Yes, and I want to have you guys on my channel doing the same thing. Mine's a little bit more sporadic, so anytime you guys want to come on, just be like, "Hey, do you want to do one? You know, this day, this time?" Sure,
anytime.
Yeah.
As long as it ain't Wednesday at 8.
Okay,
that's kind of my scheduled thing.
Yep.
All right. Cool. Yeah,
that's what I got. You guys got any parting thoughts before we pop smoke and call for extract or whatever the thing cool guys say nowadays?
Nope.
Pay the bill. Like those things you learn in class, you need to go practice them so you retain it and get better at it than you were in class.
I agree.
Yep.
Otherwise, that shit gets repoed.
Yep.
And then you got to pay us again to relearn it.
Yeah.
We're terrible businessmen. We should be telling them you never need to practice. Just come to class 5 times a year.
That's how some people do it.
It is how some people do it. And then they say to me, I haven't practiced much since the last time I saw you. I know.
I couldn't tell.
I could tell when you got out of the car this morning. With your finger on the trigger. All right, so I guess that's it. And I'll see you guys next Wednesday, and we'll try and maybe dig up another special guest for you.
Sounds good.
All right.